The St. Louis Cardinals take 2 of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers, but which is truer, that this is a good sign for St. Louis, or is it more of a bad sign for Milwaukee?
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals and Brewers fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm the host of Locked On Cardinals. Chuck Friedman, host of Locked On Brewers. Also here, we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. I want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals and Locked On Brewers your first listen. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast. Both of us also available on YouTube, so you can see our beautiful faces. Make sure you guys stop on by, like, subscribe, and comment, and hit that notification button so that you don't miss out on any of our posts or shows that we give you. This episode being brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass, ultimate subscription, and compatible controller required. All right, Chuck, the YouTube crowd can see it. You even made a note of it when you text me, when you popped into our little studio here. I do have the loud, ugly shirt on in celebration of the St. Louis Cardinals coming away with a series victory. They take 2 of 3 in the series against the Brewers, winning games 1 and 2 before Milwaukee had their way with them in game 3. The Cardinals were able to jump out to leads in games 1 and 2, only to see the Brewers claw their way back in both of them. Game 1 finishes 3-2. Game 2, 6-5 win, thanks to the walk-off dinger by Nolan Arenado. But Sunday, it was all Brewers, and it was like that from the get-go. So let's focus on Sunday for now, since it was the most recent game. Chuck, you and I were texting before this game even started, and you were feeling that, you know, after the way things had gone in the first 2 games, you're like, I don't know, man, I feel like a sweep's coming on, and I was more than happy to follow your lead. And to let that happen. The Brewers had other plans, though, as they jump all over Cardinals starter Eric Fetty for 3 in that first, and they never looked back. So what's your biggest takeaway from Sunday's just blasting of the Brewers over the Cardinals?
Well, thank God that the Brewers came back and won a game in this series. It's been a brutal start to this road trip, and they finish up in Chicago this week. But I sincerely thought that the way things were going, and I've seen this before, when things go bad, sometimes they just go bad for the Brewers. And they had never lost more than 4 games this year in a row. This is a second 4-game skid. And yeah, I did think that the Cardinals were going to win. Although I got to tell you, though, after we text, I checked the betting line. And the betting line, it was a big movement, a huge movement toward the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, it swung all the way from the Brewers being underdog to the Brewers being favored. Somebody liked something on this game today. I don't know who, but somebody in Vegas, man, they moved the line big time, and then the Brewers ended up winning. But I was happy to take 2 of 3. I told you this last week, JD. I said I don't take any of these games for granted, especially these divisional games, especially against you guys.
Yeah, it was the bummer about this game too is because the first 2 were so fun. Like, they were good games, you know, they were nail biters, things were tight, and then to see the Brewers just kind of put a whooping on the Cardinals was kind of a bummer for me. What was the biggest thing that stood out about the Brewers win on Sunday? Like, what was the one thing that you're like, this was why they did what they did, and I was impressed by it?
Well, I like the fact that they scored 3 runs in the first inning right off the bat, and
early scoring. Yeah,
coming back after Saturday's outing, and then losing on a walk-off, and then scoring the 3 runs in the first inning. Actually, 2 things, and then Quintana going to 4-0 so far, pitching 5 innings, and just been amazing. But I really love the fact, JD, they got on the board early against the Cardinals, and then were able to tack on. So that's like 3 things already.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what you do. I mean, if you jump on a team early, and that's kind of, you want to step on the throat, you want to end it quickly. And it's something that, the Cardinals weren't really able to do in those first two games. The Brewers just would not go away. For Sunday's game, the Cardinals, for whatever reason, I don't know if you picked up on this, but they kept taking strike three. Did you see that? And I know sometimes you get like an umpire who's got a bigger, wide strike zone, and they start calling crazy stuff. But I believe it was Junior Valentine behind the plate today, and he was fine in my eyes. I really didn't have a lot of issues with any of the strikes he was calling. The Cardinals just couldn't take their bat off their shoulders when they had two strikes against them. 8 of the 9 strikeouts that the Brewers were able to get, 8 of them were backwards Ks, which, if you've ever kept score in a scorebook, means that they were caught looking. And I'm not sure what was going on Sunday. Normally, the guys are hacking at everything with 2 strikes, fouling pitches off over and over and wearing that starter out. But watching these strikes go by was very, very bizarre today. The team was also 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. They left 11 runners on base, and they had some chances early on. That third inning stood out to me where, they got a couple guys on, and you had the meat of your order. You had Donovan and you had Arenado coming up, and Quintana bears down and strikes both of them out looking on beautiful pitches. There were strikes down in the zone, and they were just great pitches. So the Cardinals just unable to get that big hit on Sunday to get them back into things, to make it feel like they could get any momentum going. Q, as he's well known as being called, Quintana he just locked them up, shut them down, and it was basically over from the third inning on. Now we're going to discuss the series as a whole in our next segment. We call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's coming your way next on this Locked On Cardinals, Locked On Brewers crossover. The NBA playoffs up here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action right now. When you join FanDuel and place your $5 bet, your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And you're going to love how FanDuel makes betting super simple, makes it very, very easy, whether it's picking your favorite team, like, Chuck picking the Milwaukee Bucks, or you could go with, their opposition to do the reverse psychology thing on them if you want to, or you can make things really interesting, dive into those player props, buckets, three-pointers, steals, assists, so many different stats to go with in the NBA. FanDuel has got a lot of different ways to bet on your favorite player props. Anthony Edwards went off on Sunday and has his T-Wolves up 3-1 on the Lakers. I don't know how many people saw that coming. Karl Anthony Towns and his Knicks up 3-1 on the Pistons. Steph Curry and the 7-seed Warriors are currently up 2-1 on the 2-seed Houston Rockets. All three of these guys are dudes that you really should be looking at for player prop bets, because not only are they fun players to watch, but they get a lot of stats. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day, as well as Locked On Brewers. Feedback is something that we always encourage on our YouTube pages and on Twitter X. So make sure you step on by and let us know your thoughts on how this series went, how our teams are going. It's fine. We take the good, the bad, all of that. And sometimes we got ugly going on as well. And that's what this next segment is all about. Chuck Freeman from Locked On Brewers. You have the floor, sir. Give me your thoughts on the Brewers in this series, starting with the good.
I thought the good was bouncing back and not getting swept. And I thought that was the key, because that's a 2-game swing. It's tough enough to win on the road, and the Brewers are struggling at times on the road this year. And they've had some weird things happen to them on the road, Arizona, Colorado. And I thought that, against a division opponent or anybody, you don't want to get swept. And things that they just dropped 3 or 4 in San Francisco, JD. And after dropping those first 2, you had to come back and find a way to win on Sunday. And you did. And thank God they did. So I was, they had lost 4 in a row. And I was just getting a little worried there. I don't want to fall too far behind the Cubs.
Sure.
I don't. And that's the problem. So I think the good was actually getting the win on Sunday and ending the slide.
Yeah, and you get to, you leave town and you're heading to Chicago, as you mentioned, and you're
Mhm.
going there feeling a little bit better for
Yeah.
yourself, about yourself, because if you drop 3 to the Cardinals, which is a team that you're supposed to be beating,
Mhm.
and then have to face the Cubs, who have been playing really, really good, it kind of, you already feel like you're behind going into Chicago.
Yeah. So I'm not happy taking 2 or 3, but I'm happy winning Sunday. But you got to be really excited. I mean, you're climbing toward the 500 mark right now.
Yeah, we're doing our best. There's not a ton to be excited about this team right now, but you like the way that they play at home, which is a good thing so far. Before we get to the Cardinals side of things, though, what is your bad, and then what is your ugly for the Brewers?
Okay, bad. The bad, the bad was for me fighting back, getting down 5-0 on Saturday, fighting back and not able to close the door, and McGill giving up the blast to Arenado. And that's 2 years in a row that Arenado has come back to get McGill. Remember, Arenado hit a grand slam against McGill last year.
Yeah.
Came back and got him again this year. So 2 walk-offs that he's given up to Arenado. I don't like it. Our closer should not be giving up walk-offs to anybody 2 years in a row to the same guy. That's not good in my opinion.
Yeah, that was, obviously that's a happy moment for our side of things, but maybe Arenado just has McGill's number. I mean, he mentioned it in the post game media scrum. He was just like, he's a tough at bat. Like, it is not fun going up against him, and he was just looking for a spot and got what he wanted and was able to put some good wood on it. What about the ugly side of things for the Brewers in this series? Is there something that stood out where you were just like, this was the worst of the worst?
Yeah, and it happened. 2 players got benched on Saturday because of bad play. Sal Frelick missed a cutoff, and he said he just overthrew the cutoff man, which was Rhys Hoskins, but he got benched. And then Caleb Durbin, down 4 runs, got picked off of second base. Down 4, got picked off. And Murphy had enough of the bad play. The bad, they thrive on fundamental play. This is what's got them there. And Murphy doesn't like to see that. As an old college coach, he does not like to see that. So they just had a 30-minute meeting in San Francisco after all this bad play. And to come back on Saturday, so I can't remember, honestly, and I've been following this team for a long time, when a Brewer player was actually benched. Now, it's probably happened, but 2 players getting benched in the same game. 2 players who are pretty fundamentally solid guys. Durbin's only been here for a little over a week, and Frelick's been on the team for 3 years. But to bench 2 guys, when it come down to it, I'm not saying he's wrong for bunching them, but you'd never like to see your guys getting benched.
Yeah, I give credit, the balls on a manager to be like, no, enough is enough. I'm not doing this. I told you that you need to start doing the smart things, right? The simple things. We know you're going to make outs, you're going to strike out, but simple things like hitting cutoff men, things that we take for granted normally when you watch a major league game. When you go watch high school and college, you see them, shooting throws into the stands and stuff, and you're just like, the kids, they don't know what they're doing. At the major league level, those are basic fundamental things like covering first base, all these little things that we take for granted. And when they screw it up, you're like, oh my gosh. And it usually leads to something really, really bad for the other side of things. So, I give them credit for doing it, man. I'm cool with that.
Now, you guys, when I look at the Cardinals through the years, fundamentally sound team.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of your managers, Ollie, Tony, anybody, Schilt, anybody getting ever benched for doing something like that?
I don't recall them pulling a guy in the middle of a game, like just being like, get off the field, you're done. We're not having this anymore. But clearly there's been ones where like after the game is over and you don't see that guy for a couple of days. Like he's getting a message sent to him, not in front of everybody, but we all know why that certain person is probably sitting for a couple of days. That's happened many times, but never where it's like he's just been pulled because he screwed up.
Well, those two were back in
From the
lineup.
Cardinals side of things, my good thing, and it's also something that you brought up, was the Nolan Arenado walk-off on Saturday. And this is a situation where after again, we were texting each other during the series. After the Brewers tied it up with the Churio home run, I had no faith whatsoever that this team would be able to recover from that and then win the ball game. Did not see that coming whatsoever. The last couple of years, no doubt they would bury their heads and be done. And this year, there's a little more fight to them, but I still have got, the images of the last couple seasons in my head, and I expected them to fully blow this thing in extra innings. But then you get the future Hall of Famer stepping up, planting one in the seats in left field, and it was cool because it was a happy moment that these are things that we were hoping we'd see from Nolan Arenado during his Cardinals tenure. We thought we'd see a whole lot more of them. And the last couple seasons have really kind of tainted his time in St. Louis because the team overall hasn't played great. And then he himself has, the stats just have not been there the last 2 years. But it was nice to see him showing positive emotion and yelling and smiling and having fun. Loved it for him, loved it for the team. You could tell that they were awfully excited for their one-star player that they have, because they don't have a lot of them on the team. The bad I'm going to go with is the tie. There's a tie here between Ryan Helsley coughing up the save on Saturday, which was gut-wrenching. You had a solid day from everyone else on the roster. Everybody else had done their job, and you get to that ninth inning, it's 5-3, and you've got the reigning NL closer of the year on the mound. He's had one bad blown save already in Boston that cost him a game. And then you got NL Central rival, the guys that are supposed to win this division, and you blow it. Like, come out, you can't throw strikes with your fastball. So Churio's like, well, clearly he's not going to throw the fastball. You don't know where the hell it's going. Gets a hanging slider, and blam, that game's tied. So that was rough. The other one was the offense on Sunday was bad. Just the whole feel on Sunday, I didn't like it. It felt like they were just kind of going through the motions, like all of the energy and excitement that they had just endured on Saturday with the walk-off. It felt like, well, we don't have to win this one. We don't need to have any emotion in this one. There was no real energy out there from the team, even in spots that were big early on. As I mentioned, they had chances to get back in. It was just very blah, which I hate that. That drives me nuts. Where they just
especially when you get the first two games of a series. I've seen that with our team before, JD. And then you look at either the lineup is bad or it's like the energy is bad. And it's like, what, are you just satisfied winning 2 or 3 in this series? Mailing in the game.
I don't like it when they come out flat. And I know that that first inning was a big thing with the Brewers jumping on them 3-0, but at the same time, that's the first inning. Like, you're a team that has been able to score runs and put hits together all season. Jose Quintana, I know he's a good veteran pitcher, but at the same time, it's like it's just not some hard thrower that's supposed to embarrass you out there. Like, he's going to give you opportunities to put the ball in play, and it just never happened. And it was just kind of a very dull Sunday walk in the park game that it just never felt like they were there to compete. My ugly is going to be what you guys did to Eric Fetty on Sunday as well. 2 walks in the first 3 hitters, 3 straight singles. You're behind right away against the veteran Quintana, who has been really good in the early going. You mentioned it to me that what is it? He's 4-0 now. Like, the last Brewer to do that was what, Sabathia?
Yeah, Sabathia, and before that, Tom Candiotti, the old knuckleballer.
Oh, the Candyman.
Candyman did it. Hit his rookie year in '83. He started off 4-0, and nobody had heard of this guy, and he came in and during a pennant race and got him 4-0 to start the season.
Yeah, well, Eric Fetty, 5 2/3 on Sunday, 7 runs, 10 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. It was really a matter of time before the walks that he's been having an issue with would finally burn him. You can only tempt danger so many times before it finally gets you. And then after the Brewers really blew things open, he kind of had to wear it for almost 6 innings because they didn't want to wear out the bullpen and get it zapped before the series in Cincinnati, where they got to play 4 straight there. So Fetty, not a strikeout guy. In fact, in my opinion, he's a couple of years away from being Miles Michaelis, basically. And the good thing for the Cardinals is he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Maybe they can flip him at the trade deadline and get something decent in return. I thought they were going to trade him in the offseason when his stock was actually even higher. I don't know if it's going to be as much later on down the road, but Mo is leaving, or they might give him a 3-year extension. So I'm glad that's not going to happen. Don't you do it, Heimblum. Don't you sign this guy to an extension. Let him be. Coming up next, though, we're going to say something nice about each other's teams, and we'll give you what's on tap for both teams in this Locked On Cardinals, Locked On Brewers crossover. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd. You get the smell of the ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guaranteed. Gametime takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices are going to drop as Gametime gets closer, which means that you'll be able to score incredible deals on all sorts of your favorite seats. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On, and as the series in Cincinnati for ticket, for example, with the Reds. The wife and I were online today looking. I was like, oh, let's see what the tickets are for. You can get them as low as $9. $9 right now on the Gametime app. One of the great features is the Gametime Picks feature, what makes finding the best deals effortless. It just kind of filters out all the fluff, and it'll highlight the top discounts around the stadium. And you can preview your exact seat before you purchase. It's going to give you an idea of exactly what you're going to be looking at. So if you find a nice deal and you're like, oh, let's check it out, and that's not the view you want, you move on and you can go look at a different seat. So no really bad surprises when you get to the stadium. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals and Locked On Brewers your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. JD Haffer from Locked On Cardinals, Chuck Freeman from Locked On Brewers. Chuck, you're up first. What is something you liked from the Cardinals in this series? This is our Say Something Nice segment. What do you got for me?
Actually, two things. Number one, I love those umbrellas they gave away today in St. Louis. They were awesome.
How'd they plan that? There was, decent weather throughout the series until Sunday. A little drizzle comes and boop, there they are. All the umbrellas they gave away.
Well, what they did, they offered our broadcast crew, the Brewers broadcast crew, umbrellas. They came into the booth and your mascot, what's his name? What's the mascot?
Fredbird.
Okay. Yeah. He came and offered our people umbrellas, and the guys at the broadcast were talking, well, hey, they were nice umbrellas, but it wouldn't look good going on the team plane with Cardinal umbrellas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a bad look.
They refused them. On the field, I thought Liberatore on Friday night had a heck of a performance. I really was impressed with him. And even Sonny Gray going 6 innings, allowing 3 runs on Saturday. I thought she got 2 starts, and then Fetty not so good on Sunday. But I thought both your starters in this series, JD, Friday and Saturday, and I thought they had good showings.
Yeah, and if you caught our preview show that Chuck and I did before the series started, that was one of the things I brought up, was that the starting rotation outside of Miles Michaelis' numbers, which are really, really ugly because of that one game in Boston, which really put him back. But overall, they've actually been pretty solid. It had been the bullpen that had been a real issue, and you saw that in the series in Game 2 when they, gave up that lead, and the Brewers were able to tie things up. But I appreciate that. Yeah, Liberatore, Sonny Gray, both really good games, and again, Ollie trying to connect the dots to try to get to Helsley, and he did it perfectly in the first 2 games, and then Helsley gives up the lead in Game 2, which was unfortunate, but somehow still able to come out with the win in that one. My side of things, Jackson Chourio, my goodness, the real deal. 8 for 14, I believe, was the final stats for the series. Like, he is such an impressive player, and it seems like every time the Cardinals play him, he's doing something special, and he's knocking the ball all over the park when he's pulling it. He's hitting to the opposite field. He's stealing bases. He's making good plays defensively. I made this comment on X today because I was like, is it too much to ask that I want Jordan Walker to be that guy for the Cardinals? The Cardinals haven't really grown a superstar in like a million years. Like, it's been forever in baseball years. Mason Wynn's got potential at shortstop. It doesn't appear Nolan Gorman is going to ever reach those levels that they thought he would be. And Jordan Walker has got the tools to be something special. He's got the size. He's got strength. He's got speed. He's got an arm. He's becoming so much better in the outfield. He's not a liability out there like he was last year. But so far, it just has not happened for him at the plate. And that's the kind of guy I want. I want what the Brewers have with Jackson Chourio. Jackson Chourio, young guy, signs the extension, and is going to be like your guy for the next decade.
Well,
like, you got him.
It's amazing because when I first saw Jordan Walker a couple of years ago, I thought, man, this guy's going to be a force to deal with. Like you said, he's got all the tools. Why hasn't it clicked with him just yet?
I mean, you saw it in the series, man. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Every single team attacks him the same way. Low and away, low and away, low and away. And then they bust him in, and he's looking low and away the whole time. I've said to this day, I'm like, if Jordan Walker never swung at a low and away pitch, he'd probably lead the league in walks, because they're never a strike. They're never a strike, but he falls for it too many times. That like when he holds off on it, you're like, there you go. There you go. Let him waste those sweepers and sliders low and away outside. Like, don't feel the need. If it's not inner half, let it go. Like, just get used to letting that go, because they're not throwing it for strikes. And when they start to, that's when you can attack. But right now, it's this thing he just can't seem to get over right now. And you'll have these good at-bats too, where you're like, there he is. And people forget too, like they really get on Jordan Walker a lot, because, this is now his third year up with the team, and they expect more from him right now. And I'm sure that he expects a lot from himself too, but he's still a super young guy. We haven't even scratched the surface. Like, he's not even close to his mid-20s yet. Like, it's still very early. And these growing pains, it's really tough to watch for a fan who feels like he's been around for so long, not having a click yet. But that's why the Cardinals have said, this is going to be a runway year for some of these guys, where normally in a situation like this, the Cardinals are like, bro, we got to start competing. We got to win games. We can't fall too far behind in the standings, because this is a year that we're attacking the NL Central. And this year they're kind of saying, well, look, we're not exactly expecting to do that. We want these guys to work through it. We're going to grow with them. We're going to watch these growing pains. We're not going to punish them, send them down for having a bad couple of weeks because we're so desperate to get wins. We're going to let it play out this year. And it's something that the Cardinals fans, we're not used to. They don't have a lot of patience. They're used to winning. And so it's difficult for them to watch. But I'm just hoping that, Jordan's able to overcome these issues and become the guy that we all think that he should be and will be one day. What's on tap for the Brewers in the future? You guys are heading to Chi-Town, right?
Yeah, a day off there. They flew into Chicago, about an hour flight into Chicago. So an off day, they're going to have an off day Monday in Chicago, which is about an hour away from Milwaukee. So weird that they're having an off day an hour away from Milwaukee. I thought maybe they would come home and then drive up on Monday night, but no, they're in Chicago, and they got the White Sox, not the Cubs, the White Sox here. Their old American League rivals for the next 3 days, and the Sox are 7-21. But again, like I said, I never take anything for granted in any of these series. So, what do you guys got?
Yeah, Sox not a great team again this year. Them and they got them and the Rockies, man. They're really having a tough time. Cardinal fans, you think you got it bad? Go see what those guys are going through right now.
Sure.
And tell me how bad things are here in St. Louis. We're off to Cincinnati. We take on the Cincinnati Reds for the next 4. The Reds are actually coming from Colorado. They just had a series in Miami, which I think they lost 2 of 3 in Miami, and then they just won 3 straight in Colorado because everybody beats Colorado right now. So they're coming in feeling really, really good about themselves. So it's always interesting when you get to the ballpark in Cincinnati, Great American Small Park, as it's known, is, scores can get a little ridiculous. And, the Cardinals have had some bad years there the last couple seasons where the Reds have really taken advantage of them in Cincinnati. They are trying something, Chuck, which I thought was interesting. Cardinals are calling up a former Red to join the team. Do you remember the name Jose Barrero at all? Does that ring any bells?
Geez, slightly, yes.
Couple of years ago, he was like a top 100 prospect for the Reds. They bring him up, and it just did not pan out. Like, he was batting under 200, and it just never clicked. He ends up bouncing around to a couple of places. Cardinals end up grabbing him this offseason. He has a really good spring, but he just fell short of making the roster. And they've had a couple of injuries where Thomas Ajacey, who you saw on Sunday, he had been called up, one of their top infield prospects, but playing time is now at a crunch where they want Ajacey playing every day. So now that Brendan Donovan is back from his rib issue and they're feeling pretty good about it, Gorman's back from the hamstring. So they're calling up Jose Barrero for what I think for a revenge series is what we're hoping for. He was hitting .299 with 4 dingers and 13 ribbies, 5 stolen bases at AAA Memphis. Like I mentioned, barely missed the team out of spring training. He can play infield and outfield, so a nice tool to have on your bench. He's got speed. And now Sajasi can get back to playing every day at Memphis instead of riding the pine in St. Louis. Andre Palante set to be the game 1 starter against, I believe, Nick Martinez for the Reds. So that'll happen on Monday night. And you guys are off until Tuesday. So enjoy your rest day, buddy.
We'll do that. We'll do a little Locked On Brewers, Locked On White Sox crossover for Tuesday's show. So that'll be interesting. My buddy Todd Welter will be joining me, so we'll talk a little about the Brewers and White Sox and maybe reminisce of some of those older games back in the day when the two teams used to hook up in the American League. So you guys have a good series as well. You know what? I'm going to be cheering for the Cardinals because we need to cool off the Cincinnati Reds.
I like to hear. That's what I like to hear, Chuck. Jump on the train. Let's go.
It's like I've been like this week. The Cubs have played the Dodgers and the Phillies, and I've had to become Phillies and Dodgers fans this week. But I'm telling you, Cincinnati is going to fight for the division title this year. So kind of leaning towards you guys to go there and take care of business against them, knock them down on the pedestal a little bit.
That's the thing. The Reds fans were asking us to help them out in this series. We took 2 or 3. Now the Brewers want us to help out.
Absolutely.
And get you guys back in a
I'll
second
be wearing
place.
a Cardinal shirt like you're wearing, though. I tell you that right now, but I'll be watching. I'll be pulling for you guys.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And you can have fun and beat on the White Sox if you want. That's fine by me. All right. Well, thank you guys for making Locked On Cardinals and Locked On Brewers your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give both of us a follow on X, subscribe on YouTube, help our channel, and love for our teams grow. Instagram, TikTok, we're all over the place. So come and find us. And thank you for checking us out. This Locked On crossover, Locked On Cardinals, Locked On Brewers crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.